Hello and welcome to another Webcam Wednesday. These are one-take videos which are taken using webcam because I don't have time to edit or anything like that on Wednesdays. I want to talk about the fact that people tend to see me as having the characteristics of Asperger's syndrome, which is a deprecated diagnosis in DSM-5 and is in fact on nowadays somebody would be more accurately described as being on the autistic spectrum. First of all, I want to challenge the notion that Asperger's is actually a pathology at all. I am very much more attached to the idea of neurotypical as being one category and Asperger's as another, and that we live in a disabling world that has historically preferred people who are neurotypical to people who are Asperger's. Now, Asperger's involves things like a low degree of empathy, the inability to filter stimuli leading to the loss of relevant cues, which may be the cause of that low degree of empathy, and also getting bogged down in details, stereotypical behaviour, and so forth. Now, some of those I have, some of those I don't have, but I don't actually think I'm Asperger's. I don't think there's anything wrong with being Asperger's. I just don't think it's accurate, and I think something else is going on. I also think that's not an accurate, the low degree of empathy thing is not an accurate description of the autistic spectrum. I think that something else is going on, but I don't really want to go into that at the moment. Now, you can think of the world as consisting of objects or as the world as consisting of people, and maybe people are divided into people who can see the world as objects more than people and people more than objects. And I certainly have to say that I do feel quite a lot of sympathy for the idea that the world actually consists of objects, and some of those objects are special objects that are people who are fairly easy to ignore. But does that mean I'm actually Aspie? Well, Asperger's people are said, and this may be a stereotype, not to pick up on non-verbal cues and subtexts. They tend to take things literally. In certain cultures, such as ours, they might be perceived as invading people's personal space, getting bogged down in details, being fairly sort of obsessive, being a verbose, and I certainly am extremely verbose, and that is a big problem I keep trying to address and don't seem to be able to get anywhere. And perhaps we don't see the big picture, and that's also true of me. For example, if I look at a newspaper, I'm more likely to see the smaller headlines than the big headlines. So that there are certain aspects of that are true of me. But I don't think I'm Asperger's, even though I may have some characteristics. And the reasons for that are as follows. I don't tend to take the Bible literally. I see it as largely a figurative and metaphorical piece of text. And also, being a herbalist, my work depends crucially on empathy, and I'm more likely to make mistakes due to the lack of non-verbal communication rather than the presence of it. I tend to upset people on Facebook, for example, because I haven't picked up on non-verbal cues rather than picking up on the verbal stuff. And I also am aware of subtext, and that's perfectly clear. I also think that it's partly to do with aging. I think that as you get older, you lose your tolerance and ability to do certain things. And traditionally, although this may surprise some people, I'm not a sciencey person. I'm actually more of an arty person, and I actually get overwhelmed by people's emotions more than just not noticing them. And I'm actually very strongly, for example, I can never make up my mind what I think about something if my wife has a strong opinion about it, because I sort of feel totally overwhelmed by this whoosh of emotion that comes from her. Also, I tend to get sympathy pains and that kind of thing with my patients. And so, yeah, I don't think the interpersonal stuff is actually not there. I have to be careful wording that. So I think what it is I regard interpersonal behavior as interpersonal interaction as a challenge to which I want to rise rather than something which I would rather avoid. I think that as far as school education is concerned and so forth, I've been very much like a literary person and got scared off that, and that wasn't to do with that, it was because I cared too much. And I also think the aging thing, I've become set in my ways basically. And so, yeah, I do engage in a wide range of stereotype behavior, but it's more to do with my aging and my laziness than anything else. So I don't think I'm Asperger's. Now, the way I present myself on here, I'd be quite interested, because you could look at my videos and say, oh, he's very Aspie. But I'm obviously projecting a persona on here, as everybody does, and I'm trying to be myself, but maybe that wouldn't be accurate, but it would be quite interesting to know, if you were to look at the videos, whether you think that's what's going on. Now, if you like this video, please rate, comment, and subscribe. If you dislike this video, please tell me so that I can improve. And if you look here, you will see yesterday's video. If you look here, you will see tomorrow's. And if you click here, you'll subscribe. And over here is the mystery video, which is a random video that I choose. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.